Oh, Julia is there.
Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome. We'll let everybody in. I can see a nice number of people joining today to our expert talk, which is with a lovely expert, a friend, a colleague, somebody who I really appreciate sharing all her wisdom and knowledge with us today. We're going to be talking about a topic which is very close to our heart. I'm sure that's why you're joining. And if you couldn't join today, no problem, because the recording is going to be available on our YouTube channel. As always, ILCA has the mission to support everyone who is interested and wants to learn more about language coaching. And we're here to support your journey from teacher, trainer to coach, and to understand the basics, how coaching works. And in the meantime, I'm letting people into the into the room here.
I'm letting people in too, and
You're letting people in
yeah.
too. Wonderful. Okay, so
In the meantime,
everyone joining us here today, and if you could just send us a message where you are joining from and what your key interest is, perhaps then we can be in alignment. And just one more moment of housekeeping here. Everyone is going to be muted. Obviously, we want an interactive Q&A at the end. We're going to be around 30, 40 minutes, something like that, Kasia. Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
Something like that. And just to share that we've got quite a lot of exciting programs this autumn, this winter, early spring, and of course our conference, which I cannot say anything about yet, but it's just going to be the best ever, I'm sure, I'm certain. And if you can't wait till then of course you can check out our website where we've got some amazing coaching cards, ebooks, and of course our next field program, which is going to be starting on the 11th of February. So if you want to, get more interested in what language coaching is about, then that's the place to be. And of course, we've got our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn, our social media profiles. So do be aware of all these opportunities. And with all this, I'm going to introduce our speaker. Can you say something about yourself? Okay, introduce yourself, and we're delighted to have you here again. And I'm going to hand it over to you. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you for having me here. And I would like to welcome everybody who joined that expert talk. I'm loving that I feel already like a regular guest in this expert talk, as I was talking also in the online conference for ILCA. My name is Bieniecka-Drzymała. I'm a senior lecturer in the university, in Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań, and I can even see some people from Poznań here. Let me share that first slide. I would like to take you with me for my personal journey of implementation and innovation, which was introducing language coaching in academia. And maybe first of all, I would like you to write whether anybody of you is teaching in academic environments. I would be grateful, Gabrielle, if you could share with me the chat window.
Okay, I'm not
or just
sure.
tell me what
I'm not sure if I can do that.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
You can change the view for yourself. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Okay.
Okay, I can see that Julia, which I
Julia
already met and talked with.
Yes. Judith has a special interest in false goal setting, so that would be interesting.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I'm not sure of the others. If anyone has any advanced, maybe there's something coming in.
Okay.
But we'll see. Okay.
But anyway, I'm based in academia, and this is what I would like to talk about regarding language coaching. And something not going right with changing the slides, I'm afraid.
we did do a technical run through, so it should.
Yeah, it was everything fine, but now it just, okay. So that's my outline. And first of all, I would like to introduce my academia, or what I mean with academia, and then maybe confront you a little bit and myself with the question, what was first, action or research? What is important in implementing language coaching? Is it first action or research? And what can happen when you can prove with academic research that language coaching really work? Introducing the structure or the entity I created in Adam Mickiewicz University, and I call that Studio KOUCZ. KOUCZ is the first letters making the abbreviation can be translated as personal and learning competences. So I was really lucky because I could use the word coaching actually within the Polish word, which was not that easy to be translated. Then I would like to talk a little bit about teaching language coaching, because this is what I do also in academia, and about my future plan, or something I would like to implement in my faculty, and I would like to share with you. So with this lecture, I would like to share with you a couple of initiatives I started with language coaching, maybe to inspire you to implement a similar actions in your universities, or maybe to encourage you to take on research on language coaching. And at the end, I would like also to talk about some personal benefits that I have from that project, apart from a huge satisfaction that you will probably feel all over my talk, but also about the advantages for academia, because they're not going to accept that kind of initiative without benefits for them too. Very short, a couple short figures and short facts about Adam Mickiewicz University, because I could see that you were joining from very different part of the world and of Europe. Poznań is located rather in the western Poland, actually closer to Berlin than to Warsaw. And it's quite a big city with 600,000 people, with a huge university. University is actually the second biggest employer in the city and in the entire region. And the Adam Mickiewicz University is, I think, the fourth or fifth biggest in Poland. We have 40,000 students, about 80 disciplines, 4,000 academic staff. We give instructions in Polish, English, and German. So we teach, we give lectures. And what is maybe interesting, and I didn't even know that, preparing that talk, I found out that 50% of students are women. Okay, so we have it really in a kind of balance. And Adam Mickiewicz University is a research university. As you can see at the top of my slide, it's excellence in research, and it's Uczelnia Badawcza, which is also a research university. So a lot of journals, a lot of publications, but also infrastructure and resources. One of Poland's largest university libraries, with here also an interesting thing maybe for those of you who are interested in libraries, that we have a unique Masonic collection. And lately, I think last year, we discovered by complete accident, and it is a Europe news, that we have some script, hand script of Brother Grimm. So the fairy tales written by them were discovered in some library rooms, lying there for like 100 years. And now a colleague of mine, because a colleague of mine from my institute discovered these works. So she's giving interviews all over Poland and other places, okay? And of course, Adam Mickiewicz University is member of international networks. And one of these structures is my faculty, Faculty of Modern Languages, which has about 4,000 students. And within this faculty is my Institute of Applied Linguistics, with some 800 students, 80 lecturers. We teach different languages, mainly English and German, but also all other languages, Hungarian, Estonian, all languages that you may imagine. So quite a big structure. And here I wanted to approach you with the question regarding introducing language coaching in academia. What do you think was first, action or research? Maybe a short time for giving answer, or maybe Gabriela, what do you think? What was first?
I'd say action.
Action. Mm-hmm.
But it's just a hunch. I don't know. It's just
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the chart because then I have a problem with moving the slide. So maybe you can tell me what is the answer.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Action. Okay. Ricardo says
Action.
hi,
Okay.
Ricardo. Julia said action. Okay. So we're leaning in that direction.
Yeah, okay. So we agree on that. Actually, yes, in my case, it was action too, but very quickly I realized that without research, that action is not possible. And what I had to do was introducing action research. So as a kind of research typical for researching on coaching, but also on some other intervention. And my journey with, not with coaching, but with advising started, I think it was 2019, when a faculty of English language, because it's a different faculty. English language is so big in Poznan that they have a separate faculty, also with some thousand students, different lecturers, different professors. And colleagues from that department approached me and a colleague of mine with a proposal to join them in an initiative that they called TELL. TELL like tell me, but actually it was an abbreviation as well. Techniques for effective language learning. And they started to offer language advising, but purely advising, without research. So I worked with them for some 2 years, but I quickly realized that I cannot introduce coaching, like a non-directive way of interaction with student, and we cannot research on them because that was the principle for that structure. And it was more or less the same time when I came up with the idea to introduce that in my faculty. But for that, I had to do something what I call my crusade. I don't want to repeat myself because I already had a lecture on that, on my crusade for introducing language coaching in academia. But today I just tell you shortly that to have language coaching and coaching for language department in my university, I had to bring scientific evidence that it works. Okay, because otherwise the authorities of my university said, Kasia, it's a good idea. It looks good. It sounds very supportive, but can you prove it really works? So I had to commit. I'm laughing. I had to commit my doctoral research project, and I did. I started 2018. And it was for 4 years. I found 6 volunteers, third-year students of bachelor's degree in my institute who agreed to meet with me for 6 full coaching processes. And with coaching process, I mean 5 or 6 meetings with one goal at the beginning and then just working together. All of them, so I conducted altogether 42 meetings, of which I recorded and transcribed 36 of them. All of them were face-to-face in Polish, and I analyzed all these talks, all that recordings, trying to find evidence that the coaching procedure is leading to increased metacognitive awareness, so the awareness of a student of himself as a learner, but also of his learning process. And my second research question was whether it influenced autonomy. So I had to first define metacognitive awareness for that research, define autonomy, and see whether it brought some changes in students' approach. Of course, I went through very rigorous procedures. I had three reviewers from three different Polish universities who checked all the procedures, all the analytical procedures, and my results. And the results were very promising. They show that there was some change in the approach to foreign language learning. And first of all, we could observe really increased motivation. So people wanted to speak English, German, or other languages we were working on. They had more positive, they reported, because actually I did it in the interview with them in post research interview, evaluative interview. They reported more positive attitude towards language learning in general. They felt more confident in oral communication, but they not only felt, they reported that during academic classes, when they have practical English or practical German, they volunteer for saying something, for presenting, etc. They described this change as sustainable. So they could see, because my evaluation, the interview was after some time of 3 months after finishing the last coaching meeting. So they said that they still do that. They still feel like that. They still apply what they worked on in that process. And they evaluated the non-directive person-centered approach that I applied in my coaching. I followed the ICF principle. So I am sorry for not saying that at the beginning, but I am ICF certified coach. That's an important piece of information. With ACC accreditation now in a couple of months, probably reaching my PCC, because I'm in the course of training. And for the future, I would like to have some elements of advising mentoring, which was not surprising for me, because at the beginning I had a feeling that they were sometimes like angry with me that I don't want to say what they should do, right? So they reported at the end in the interview, some of them said, I thought that you were going to tell me. And they were, of course, I explained what coaching is about, but I think they were not aware how little advising it's going to be in the whole procedure. But then at the end they said, I was angry with you, but then I valued my solutions higher. So everything was okay at the end. They said that they would like to see coaching as a regular support in modern language studies, and they could see transfer of these new insights to other areas. And what I mean here, many of them study applied linguistics for becoming language teachers. So I invited them to that process. It was one of the principles of my research to do a participatory research. So I treated them as equal partners in this evaluation interview, because I wanted to see their point as future teachers. So they could see that the coaching could be a good tool for them. And some of them even reported that they apply some of coaching questions or coaching approach in their own teaching, because many of them teach children or have private language lessons. And what can happen when you can prove in academia that language coaching work? You can open a studio. So it was my dream to write this doctoral thesis on language coaching, but also to have a place, a cozy, nice place where I can coach, not only me, but with a group of people. And you can see on the picture my two colleagues, Katarzyna, who is a psychologist, that's the one in the middle left. Katarzyna is a linguist and psychologist, and Leonor is an expert on learning strategies, and Kuba is a colleague with whom I work really close, because I like practicing, I like action, and Kuba likes research. So we are coaching and we are performing action with students. I'm organizing the whole thing, and Kuba is researching what we do and providing also arguments for university authorities. And we do not only individual coaching, we provide also workshops developing soft skills and some other kind of skills that might be useful for future linguists. And here, of course, it's in Polish, so I couldn't translate that. But these are the posters I produce. I had to learn Canva really good to to be able to do that, because there is never money in university for that sort of thing. So we advertise this kind of support. We tell students what is language coaching all about, but we also offer some kind of workshops for them. And here in the middle, you can see a picture with a trainer who is our former student. And I was so happy to have her in the project too, because I could see she was not one of my coachee. Magda is a student of applied linguistics, and now she's studying psychology. And she just offered, she liked the idea that we introduce coaching in our department. So she volunteered for having this workshop for her younger peers. And now I would like to tell you a little bit about the process, how we organize that. So we advertise, we give them the link where they can apply, and we have, in each year, we have from 30 to 60 hours of coaching that are paid for us, because that was the point. That was important for me. To build a structure for me and for my colleagues where we are paid for our work, because coaching education, wherever you do that, in ICF or by ILCA, by any other structure which is recognized, you have to pay for that. So you would like to be remunerated also by your employer for providing this service. And I'm really proud, I can say, because I managed to introduce a program, a project where we are not paid a lot because it's a university, but it is a project where we are remunerated for that work. And we having these students on the list, we of course look at our calendars. I allocate them to the 3 different coaches, and before the students come, they get this 2 documents that you can see on the left. That's a contract. So they know what they're going to do with us. They can see what is the responsibility of them, of me. They read that it is not a psychological intervention. So we do not take people with depression. Of course, we have students who come and who tell us that sometimes that they have depression, and then we just direct them to some other place in the university. But we try to do that as clear as possible. And in the first 3 lines, we also clear with them what is going to be the goal of the meeting. Is it something which is concerning organization of their own learning, stress issues, motivation, procrastination, or rather developing their language potential, pursuing their linguist career. So you can see here a couple of possibilities for this, what I call language coaching, but it's both language coaching, it's language learning coaching sometimes, and sometimes it's just coaching, career coaching. So coaching is like an umbrella, but of course all the time we are talking about communication and language skills. So this is like our base for providing that coaching. And it's written here also that for the participants is for free. right? So that the faculty is paying for that, and they give us permission to use their data for the process of preparing everything, but also for research. And that's very important because you actually can't, I think, there are no countries where you can do research without that consent. And as you imagine, because all of you are language coaches, they talk with us about some sensitive matters they have to open. So I want them to feel maximum just sure and confident that everything what is in that room that I was showing you stays in the room, right? Because there might be some second thoughts. And based on ICF principles and my research connected very much to the research in Germany of Anke Spenkuch and Professor Karen Klippin, I developed a script of coaching just as a kind of help for me and for my colleagues. Sometimes we follow that script. It's actually about trying to elicit the goal, making the goal as much concrete, dependent on the person who takes part in coaching as possible, asking them what would be the benefit of achieving it. I need that form also a little bit for research purposes. And here on my desk, I can show you, I have the whole bunch of these forms that we filled in. And I promise to myself that one day, maybe in summer holiday, I have a session with these materials to write an article about what are the goals and what are the insights connected with the goals. So I'm just spoiling a little bit my research plans right now. I mentioned my colleague Jakub, who is a born researcher, I could say, right? And Jakub said that at the beginning of every coaching conversation, we have to check how participants manage their learning and studying process. And he introduced the questionnaire, that's Agency for Learning questionnaire long form, where we check 4 aspects of their learning process. How competent are they in planning their learning? How good are they in decision making about their learning process? What about their self-regulation and self-reflectiveness? So we sort of like a little bit like doctors see what is the initial state of our students or patients. And we see, even before they start the intervention, that the most problematic area is self-regulation. So control over actions that enable the achievement of their goals. And then another area that seems to be quite problematic or weak is self-reflection. Okay, so we were not surprised with that, but we have hard scientific evidence for our dean and for university authorities that people who apply for coaching intervention, who would like to take part in it, really struggle with these 2 aspects of the studying process. Okay, and that we help people who really need that. And after 2 years, after 2 years, because the studio has been running for nearly 2 years right now, we started our first promotional action, January 2024. We collected data from the first set of students. From not all of them, of course, replied in the questionnaire or in the surveys we sent to them, because usually you send 60 surveys and you get back about 30, but we were lucky to research on 28 of them who took part in the first intervention. And we wrote an article that is going to appear just this year. in December. So we already submitted the article in an academic language journal. The title of the article is A Person-Centered Perspective on Agency in Language Learning. So and some insights from something that we call a pilot study conducted in Studio KOUCZ. And here with the names, you can see all of us, because we all contributed to that article with our insights, with our reflections on the entire process. And here you can see some key insights from that article. I think I discussed already the first two, but the key findings from what we researched on was this critically low self-regulation, and in implication, we stressed or we highlight need for personalized coaching and metacognitive support. So we see that as a possibility to help these students, because even motivated learners may lack tools to manage stress and learning. And that's all from really rigorous research that has been conducted. After the coaching intervention, I also approached the students with a questionnaire and with 3 questions. How it was for them, what sort of benefits they had from this intervention, and why or why not would they recommend that intervention to their colleagues at the university. And here we have only 3, because I have a lot of quotes, and they were just giving really nice answers. But as language coaches, it's probably not surprising for you that they could see solutions that they hadn't noticed before. I think many of you can relate to these answers, because your students, your coaches, just tell you similar things, right? Such meetings allowed me to carefully examine and understand my needs. I think many students feel lost, and such meetings are perfect opportunities to view their lives and decisions. And I need these words and these scientific evidence, but actually what I can see in their faces when they leaving the room, compared with how they are coming, it's enough for me. But as you may understand, it's not enough to just tell my colleagues, my university colleagues, or my authorities about that beautiful change that I can see in these young people. And it's good to have some hard evidence that it looks like that. But I know it's just from just simply talking with them, from energy that shifts after the coaching conversation. And last year, our university authorities were so happy with the project and with the results, with answers of students, that they invited us to a project preventing dropouts. And dropout is an interesting, and I think nowadays very common thing at many universities. And German researcher Bolker and his team researched why actually do students drop out. And he differentiated stages that happen before actually students decide to leave the university. And first, he paid attention to that non-fit perception. So it starts actually with the feeling of by being isolated, unsupported. Then the students showed some thoughts of quitting. They were really journaling how they feel. And there was a big group of students he researched. And actually, it was something that we observed in our university too. So as I said, we were invited by our university authorities as KOUCZ Studio, as this team of researcher, with me being the leader of it, and Jakub being the main researcher. to find maybe not solution, but to propose something that could help or prevent these dropouts in our department. And you may imagine how happy we were, because we were like thinking, okay, so there is evidence not only from what we could see, because our number of students was really small, but between 2003 and 2008, Bettingen and Baker conducted a huge research with 13,500 students across 8 universities in the US, coming to the conclusion that coaching proved a most cost-effective method of achieving retention and completion gains when compared with previously studied interventions, even the increased financial aid. Okay, so of course I showed that to the university authorities, and they were sort of convinced, allowing us to introduce the project. So we did, and it started last April. So April this year we started. And here you can see a special poster we introduced for that special project, and we called that project Good Decision. And within the project, we have a variety of measures. So we prepared a webinar for first-year students. We have coaching conversations for 80 first-year students. We have special workshops for them on self-reflection, that I'm leading these on self-reflection. Jakub is leading workshops on self-regulation. And why I'm talking to you right now, it's in Poland, it's 20 to 7. Jakub is having a workshop with one of this group of students. I will probably see some pictures after I finish my talk today. But I think we came up with an interesting idea to offer different workshops for second and third year students who could work with these first year students as tutors, introducing to them the concept of coaching also, and teaching them how to lead conversations with these younger students. Because of course, when they come to the coaching studio and talk to us, we can help them, but it's different when an older student can take care of them. So we wanted to connect at the same time and teach coaching intervention, coaching questions, active listening to the second year or third year students who could then take care of their younger colleagues. And the last part of this project were workshops for academic teachers to introduce them to coaching concept, to teach them how to listen actively. So you can see that was a very complex, this is a very complex project still going on. We finish at the end of November, so we will see. I can't share the results yet, but seeing just how the people behave, how they come to these classes, I'm quite optimistic. So I hope to report in a year time by Ilka how it went. Yet another activity that came to my mind already a couple of years ago was teaching coaching dialogue to students. And I prepared a course that I called Discursive Practices in Mediation Dialogue. And it is a course for our international students. So for students who study only in English language. And I have been leading that course for 5 years already. And here is the real slides I introduced to my students that we are meeting every Wednesday from 8 to 9:30 in room C1. Here you can see my title and my email. So that's like what they get in their first slide. And what we do in the course is we study, or I teach them dialogue and discourse as interaction. We learn about discursive practices in mediation and coaching dialogue. Actually, I'm teaching almost only about coaching dialogue, but to introduce that course 5 years ago, I had to use the word mediation. Okay, so I came up with didactic mediation, which is a part of that course. The mediation between what the student knows and what the student doesn't know, okay, as a kind of cognitive or didactic mediation. But I wanted to introduce coaching, so that was like a little trick to do that. But this is not obligatory course, so students volunteer for this, and a kind of measure for how successful the course is the fact that for 5 years I have the full number of students. So every year 30 students start the course and finish that with me. I do it always in the summer term. So this here I wanted to show you the real from like my syllabus, the topics and requirement. First, we have a look at dialogue as discourse and interaction. Of course, I teach them, or I present Van Dyck to them and some other big names in discourse analysis. We talk about theoretical approaches, and I think here also this academic foundation of coaching dialogue is important to show that it's not motivational speaking, that it's not some kind of abracadabra. You probably know what I mean, but that's a concept that has roots in discourse analysis, in some theoretical approaches, which is for academia, it's of course important. And they write written analysis of discursive practices in selected short dialogues. We observe dialogues. In one of the lessons, Gabriela, I have an excerpt of your book when a coach is talking with a student about learning German. And we analyze that dialogue, looking for some patterns and for discursive practices in that, okay? And I even make them read that coaching dialogue, like a sort of role play, and other students analyze what sort of discursive practices are being used by coach, right? So I'm using your material, of course, mentioning it is yours. And what is interesting for this course, for this particular course, that it is an exam course. So what I do at the end in June, they conduct coaching with each other, and I observe their performance, giving them feedback. Okay, and that's then they change roles, but they do real coaching sessions. So all the semester, I prepare them for conducting coaching sessions that they do as an exam. And I can tell you how much their perception of coaching changes in that course. At the beginning, they are sometimes laughing or grimming, saying, coaching? What is this coaching? At the end, when they pass the exam, they said their perception of this intervention is completely different. And my last, my last idea is to help change the role of the teacher and change a little bit the curriculum that we have for educating future teachers. Because I think academia is a big structure, and it takes time to explain to everybody that the traditional role of the teacher, especially in the age of rapid AI advancement, is evolving. So students have unlimited access to all possible materials, to ChatGPT, etc. And our role has to change. We become more coaches, mentors, facilitators, learning. So I would like to introduce a course for our students, for student of pedagogy and foreign language learning, that could shift their role by focusing more on relationship building, support, intention, engagement, and learners' development. here I put some course overview that should introduce practical implication of coaching, cognitive and educational mediation, tutoring, so a variety of measures that would prepare the teachers, the contemporary teachers for their future, for the future roles. And I'm quite optimistic because all the other projects that seem to be really unrealistic 5 or 6 years ago happened. So I think that's with this determination, with this scientific support also, and with the energy we all bring to this project, it can happen. And I see here a big role of organizations like ILCA, because in the future we are going to need not only teachers, but teachers with these extra abilities, teachers who are coaches, mentors, and especially coaches. And big structures, universities are going to look for people like that. Okay, so I think, Gabriela, there is still a lot of work for us in the future to educate teachers actually who would like to take that career path. And I promise that I finish with some benefits. The benefits are huge. The benefit is a huge satisfaction from that project. Even if I wasn't paid or if I had a lot of money, I would do that for free because it's an absolutely fascinating field of activity, and I was not forced to do that. I had another language career. I was a translator of German and English. I was a senior lecturer, but I entered my doctoral project as a full-time teacher, full-time mother, and I did it in my free time because I was so excited about the project. So the benefits are personal, but the benefits are, of course, the extra paid activities or engagement at the university, so I can earn my money doing things I love, not the things that I was pointed to by my university authorities, because of course I could get some other engagement, and a lot of benefits for academia as well, right? Because I always tell that in that KOUCZ Studio we prepare students for our colleagues to take part in the language classes as different people, as more developed, more self-confident, with less speaking anxiety. And if after this project of dropouts that I was talking about, we can state that less students drop out university, then we will have yet more evidence that it's worth introducing coaching in the academia. I believe in it really because I have been doing that, and I can see many different areas where we can engage as researchers, as coaches. Just very nice way of expanding your careers. Okay, thank you. That's all from me. I have here one more slide of Gabriela. Thank you. I hope I wasn't talking for too long. Yeah.
Oh, I think we're good, very good with time, the scope. I think the depth of everything, and of course, I'd like to ask everybody to open up your cameras if you want to unmute, and then we can have a conversation if there are any questions or any comments that you have. I also think it's a fascinating area for research, but also for universities to open up this possibility for the educators that are there to, as you said, to expand. We were talking about this, to stretch the role of the educator because it's essential. So we cannot stay in roles that have been designed for the 50s, 1850s, 1750s, so much has changed. And I think AI and COVID, all these have kind of boosted the interest in the changes, the shifts that need to take place in terms of roles, and also, just what the role of the teacher is, the educator, and also what the role of university is, because that's also a huge big thing which is happening now. And one thing is critical thinking, which of course, again, coaching in general can support. So that's again another fantastic area to be, you know, researching and looking into. But just my sort of closing here is that if you're interested, do join us. We've got membership program. We're offering the field program with a 25% discount, which is a very nice discount, I'd say. We've got our coaching cards, and probably in the summer we'll be running our nature inspired coaching experience again, which is a fantastic course because we get to go out in nature and we experience how to coach outdoors, which is again fascinating. And interestingly enough, it's the corporate area, companies which are interested in this because it can connect with their own well-being initiatives. So that's another exciting area to be exploring. But yeah, okay, so we can take this off. Thank you very much, everybody. And now questions and conversations. And thank you very much, Kasia, for sharing and for helping us understand how it's possible to implement. Okay. Yeah, okay. So another Kasia is saying thank you and keeping fingers crossed for your future projects. And great to see and hear you're in your element, which is very nice feedback. Any questions? I see Elizabeth, hi from Mexico, Elizabeth, and Ricardo from Colombia. So you're not so very far away, perhaps, on the globe. Any questions that you have?
Well, I would like to know if in your opinion, it would be daring to say that coaching is the future of modern language education. What would you think about it?
Maybe not the future, but an element without which the language learning or teaching cannot exist. Because when I think future, then I would probably think about my role as a teacher converting into the role of a coach. But we will still need teachers for providing some kind of training. So I try not to mix these two roles. I can apply some coaching questions in my teaching, but there is a part when I'm teaching, when I'm training, and it's okay because we are all language teachers or trainers. But there is some place, I'm doing coaching out of the classroom, right? So the studio is, of course, they finish classes and they come to me and we have this conversation. So I can part these two roles, but I can see some possibility, many possibilities to apply coaching actually within teaching, right? But there is some kind of instruction or training that remains.
Mm-hmm. Well, precisely because I can perceive now like this confusion of roles as the students can work, as you said before, with AI. There is such an enormous quantity of information. Our role as teachers is becoming every time more elusive. I don't know that would be the word for that. So finally, with coaching, we are, or at least is my case, I am finding a real place where I can be and I can really provide something nice to my students, my accompaniment in order to guide them in the process they are following.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just to add my thoughts here. I think that elusive is perhaps or more, I would say the teacher trainer role. So when we're providing information, teaching or training skills, that side is becoming more sort of slippery. So like, well, I can just Google it, or well, it's up there. Why do I need to learn it? Or why do I have to go to a lecture if everything is already, so that sort of thing is happening. But of course you need the human element, the person-to-person interaction, the immediate feedback. And this is where AI comes in because it can provide immediate feedback to certain input that it receives. But again, the human element, that's always something that we keep coming back to. It's not the same. And in Kasia's at KOUCZ University, this studio is a separate space. So I guess that the roles are separate also, physically, sort of, right? And the question is this good, or should there be more coaching in the actual seminars and lectures that take place? That's my question, leading on from this. What do you think, Kasia?
Yeah, I think absolutely, because I do both, right? After completing my project, I was never the same teacher. Before that, I always loved teaching, so that was like my cup of tea. But sometimes I worked for the answer of my student with my own stomach. I wanted so much them to answer the question. And what coaching gave me is to take the step back, to breathe, to wait for the answer, to be more respectful even. And I do apply that in every classroom because I do teach English, business English right now. Tomorrow I have 3 groups. Today, before yesterday, I also had 3 groups of English-Polish translation. And I apply coaching principles and coaching questions, active listening as a part of my teaching. But next to it, of course, I can do a proper coaching session. So I do both. And I think it is possible.
Yeah, so it changes your perspective. It brings in this partnership very strongly, right? That's what I'm hearing here.
Which is, of course, possible, maybe especially possible at the university because they are young adults, right? I've never tried coaching with children, for example, but I think teachers in primary school need probably some other tools or some other perspective on that. I think for me it's easier because they should be partners. And they want to be.
Yes.
Mostly.
or so, especially because the environment outside the classroom suggests that you have more agency, you have more, responsibility for who you are, how you're shaping your future, more individualistically. And when you come into the classroom, perhaps that will sort of disappear, so that level of responsibility is now in the hands, or control even is now in the hands of the lecturer or the teacher, and so everyone becomes far more passive, simply because of how the roles change. And when you bring that back, I think that's when the activity, the involvement, the engagement, the motivation, that floods back again. At least that's always my experience, that, oh, it's so good that you give me choices. I say, of course, I mean, I can't decide for you, but learners can be surprised with that, So I think it's a very interesting sort of combination of what's happening outside the classroom and how you can bring in the good elements of what is outside into the classroom through coaching and partnership. Sorry. But it's true, right? So it's this partnership element, right? That's going to be so helpful. Right? Okay. Any other comments? Elizabeth, I see you're smiling, you're happy. You're in your spot.
Yeah. Well, I just gave a 6-hour introduction to coaching for the university level for English language, the English language teachers of a university in their language department. And it wasn't easy, to tell you the truth, to try to get these concepts at the university level. And I was really curious about the workshops, the one-on-one, the small groups. But I was trying to convince the English teachers to put it into a classroom situation, and having to explain again the roles. You could be a teacher and you could be a coach. So I was somewhat successful, but I'm very interested, and congratulations on the project, and took copious notes. but I still haven't quite convinced this university that this is the way to go. So I was very curious and happy to hear the talk today. And thank you very much to Ilke
Thank you,
for
Elizabeth.
presenting it, and to you for the research, and for everybody to be here today. Congratulations. It's always good to get inspired. And to see that I'm not crazy thinking coaching could be at the university level, because that's kind of where it's at now. You know, like people could understand on a one-to-one or a small group, but they haven't really quite accepted that it could be in the classroom at the university level. So
Yeah.
little by little, you know, all research and all action is very much accepted and appreciated. Congratulations again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I can feel some resistance when I have workshops for our teachers in our department, because I gave a couple of workshops also for teachers, and they feel that resistance. They even see that role as something extra that they have to deliver. Because they said, I have enough duties, teaching, doing all the bureaucracy, and what you want me to actively listen, to expand my competences. So there is sometimes also that type of resistance, right? That the teachers see coaching not as a kind of I don't know, enriching experience, but as some extra duty they have to enter during the classroom. So not only really teaching, but also coaching. And some of them are resistant to it. So that was also my experience.
Well, it's kind of like the new thing, you know. Is this just a buzzword? Is this really something of importance? Will this really make a difference? I mean, we're the believers, but you know, going out there into the real world, you know, there is that other level. And will coaching be more accepted in the future? You know, or is this sort of so new, right? That it's an unknown. And so, you know, I figured I put my little seeds, you know, my little
Yes,
2 bits,
I feel
you know,
exactly the
as
same.
as to whether they'll go with it, you know, even in the feedback, you know, in the evaluation, they're going, well, let's see if it works, you know. Well, so that's pretty much where I am at with this particular university. Time will tell.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's why I called in my previous lecture, I called that my crusade for it, because I was approached at the beginning when I came with the project. I'm talking about the 2018 and 19, when I introduced the idea to our university. And they, sorry to say that, but they looked at me like an idiot. Sorry for this word, like somebody being really over enthusiastic about something. And I even had professors, because I have been teaching for this university for more than 25 years. And I previously did some research on comparative grammar between German and Polish, and more linguistic research. Because I'm teaching German too. And my professor told me, Kasia, you did such a fantastic research on more serious topics. What is this coaching all about? But then after my 4th or 5th visit, she said, okay, Kasia, I don't know what this coaching is, but your eyes are so excited that I give you a green light. She said, I give you a green light, start the project and let's see. So I was really lucky, because she trusted me, but I could see how fragile is that consent to let me do that in academia.
Yeah.
You know, I was like all the time, before I defended my doctor's thesis on coaching in language education and published my book, I was all the time afraid that one day they say, no, it's
Too much.
it's too much. It's not serious
Too
enough.
out of the box.
Yes, it's
So
too
like,
out of the box.
where's the limit? Yeah.
It's not serious enough for applied linguistics, where we have journals, where we talk about some really serious issues, etc.
I mean, I think this is, sorry to say, this is a silly idea, right? That it's not serious enough. I mean, how much research is there in coaching, not language coaching, but coaching? So if you bring all that research of coaching and all the research in language education, language teaching, or you can narrow it down, and the two, you merge the two, that's an incredible amount of research. But there are people who have to, you know, work on the overlap and how and why and create new research areas. So that's going to be your upcoming book, which is in Polish at the moment. When will there be an English translation for us to read?
That's a good question, because I have to raise funds first, and actually I'm in the process of talking with my institute director, how much it would cost, how much they could support me in that process, because I'm also the one in our institute who is always asking for money for coaching, for money for my publication. So I think at one point they have enough and they say, Kasia, go away, okay? You are always asking for money. So, but I'm thinking about that. I'm preparing that translation. Yeah.
Okay.
I agree on that point. Perhaps this is one of the things that we now have to start to construct this scientific literature,
Yes.
in order to make this much more solid. For example, all the core of things that you show in your study, like the program of things, the kind of authors that you review and these kind of things, sound very, very interesting, and make that the outcomes of the project are so nice. Because for me, or in general, it's easy to say, in education we still need a little bit of more humanity and these kind of things when we are talking about languages. But when it comes from a study, when it comes from the result of analyzing for so many hours these conversations and these coaching sessions, that shows definitely that there is much to say, and that it has a scientific base.
Yeah. And not just that, I mean, not only language coaching as such, but connecting it with other disciplines, other fields, positive psychology, social emotional learning. There are so many other areas, you know, where you can bring in and merge, you know, how that can support language education as such, you know, language learning. So I think there's so much. But I think we're going off track a little bit now here. So we're going to have to end the conversation because we have to finish the recording here. So thank you everyone who's still here, which is fantastic. And thank you very much for such a fruitful conversation and a very nice discussion afterwards. Thank you, Elizabeth, Ricardo, for joining in here, and for everyone else who's been here. And the recording will be on our YouTube channel. So thank you very much. And I'm going to stop the recording